have a copy for each of you, and it is posted everywhere, so I hope that if you're visual, that will kind of help break down some of the numbers and things like that and how we got where we were. There is one resolution that's not here. I'll present it next meeting. I had to republish. And it's for the use of the foregone. So it will happen in time for me to submit to the county. But basically, the first publication of that said it was gonna be for general funds, and then I found out that we couldn't take the whole amount for general funds. So it's allocated to capital park outlays. So I republished that. So that will come next meeting.
Okay.
But otherwise, this is just the standard to adopt everything that I have given you, all the budget. That's it.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's a fairly good budget, given with what we're working with, given the fact that, we're staying without ARPA funds and everything. You know, we are gonna see changes. We are gonna have to make adjustments. We've already got a request in from the county for, what's it called? The dispatch. Dispatch fees are changing a little bit. It's only gonna affect us $200, so it's not a huge effect to us, but they did give us basically a 6-year estimate of what we can be, so we can forward plan for the next few years. So I think everything is looking pretty solid. Doesn't seem like anybody is too concerned about it, given how busy it is in here, but are there, at this time, I'll open up for public comment. Seeing none on Zoom and none in the chambers, I will close public comment. Any comment from council?
No,
That's good.
Nice work, Sean,
yeah, thank you, Shelley.
and everyone, all the department heads.
Yeah. Fresh. I'll work on future. Next year. And, we've never had anything like this before. And my 60 years, I'm not doing this, never. Thank you.
Yeah, Sean?
I'll just make a statement that I really appreciate the kind of reduction of a very complicated budget into what I think is a digestible presentation from Shelley. It will be available for people to dive into if they do have questions. I think it really helps to describe everything that's going on within our budget, and I hope that our community has time to take a look at it and kind of understand what our plans are in the city for the next fiscal year. So thank you, Shelley.
Jessica, you've been gone a little bit on vacation and some personal time. Any questions from you?
No, I mean, everything that I have reviewed and got caught up and just spoke with Diane about, and you briefly, I have no questions yet.
Okay, I'll put a motion out there then,
Um,
if we're ready, or
you take a motion to adopt and then a motion to waive the 3. How does that work?
You need a motion to waive 3 readings
Okay.
first.
by consent of everybody, and then a motion to read by title only.
So I do the motion to waive 3 readings first.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to waive the 3 readings pursuant to Idaho Code 50-902.
I will second it.
Roll call, please.
Member Ivy,
Yes.
member Shea,
Yes.
member Mahoney.
Yep.
Member Obanoff,
Yes.
member Calero,
Yes.
President Trujillo.
Yes. So I
Okay.
move to read by title.
Yep, well, motion to read by title only.
I move to read ordinance number 2024-02 by title only.
Second.
Member Calero,
Yes.
member Shea,
Yes.
member Leahy,
Yes.
member Mahoney,
Yep.
and President Jordan,
Yes.
member Obanoff.
Yes.
And then I just read the title.
Yes.
City of Bellevue, Idaho, ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, entitled the annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year 2025, beginning on October 1st, 2024, appropriating funds deemed necessary to defray all necessary expenses and liabilities for the ensuing fiscal year, authorizing a levy of sufficient tax upon the taxable property and specifying the objective and purposes for which the said appropriations is made and providing for an effective date.
Second, I mean, oops.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Diane.
Trying to be thorough.
You gotta love.
Are we good there, Rick?
Yes.
Okay,
Wonderful.
thank you. This time we'll move to item 4.
Actually, you guys gotta vote on it, though, pass it. Please pass it.
So,
You just read, you waived 3 readings and you read it by title only again.
okay,
Now we
Vote on
need,
it.
now,
and I would accept a motion to approve.
So then we do the motion.
it's out of your time.
Okay. I'll put it out there.
Me put up.
Someone needs to make a motion.
Okay, I will make a motion. I move to adopt ordinance number 2024-02 of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, entitled the annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year 2025, beginning on October 1st, 2024, appropriating funds deemed necessary to defray all necessary expenses and liabilities for the ensuing fiscal year, authorizing a levy of sufficient tax upon the taxable property and specifying the objects and purposes for which said appropriation is made and providing an effective date.
President Jordan,
Yes.
Member Ferrero,
Yes.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yeah.
Member Shea,
Yes.
Member Overall.
Yes.
All right, I think we've done that enough. This time I'll go ahead and open up public comment for items of concern not on the agenda. I do have a couple things. I'll start off with. So first off, the Cemetery District Board appreciates the support of appreciates our support of the new cemetery sign. I'll get this right. So the cemetery board was able to find some donors and we now have a new Bellevue cemetery sign. It was donated, it was 100% donated with material and labor. The donors are D. Swanger Welding, Dan Karst family, Coleman Concrete, Pacific Steel and Recycling, and Walters Ready Mix. We'd like to recognize them along with Christy Molyneux, Cindy Karst, and Carolyn Baird, along with Amanda Swanrick, that are members of the board, but it's really nice. It's a little bit more detailed, looks great, and we really appreciate the donors and the materials that were put into it. So just want everybody to know about that. I am getting some complaints about lot maintenance, specifically weeds, vehicles and trailers. We do have ordinances that require people to adopt. We may be pushing more stringent enforcement on some of those if they become a nuisance, but we are looking at that and we are looking at ways that we can help enforce those ordinances. And then the last two, I want our city to be both ATV side-by-side friendly and e-bike friendly, but it also takes personal ownership of being responsible drivers and users of these vehicles. We're seeing increased speeds through to the canyon connections. We're seeing e-bikes doing excessive speeds through stop signs along the BCRD non-motorized trail. It says it every block. But me and the marshal are gonna work at avenues and bring up new ordinances. I would like to keep this an ATV recreation friendly community. I think we have two great accesses to our canyons, but it's getting to the point of absurdity with some of the reckless driving, driving on Highway 75 on side by sides should not be permitted. You can cross perpendicular, but to drive down it, I believe is illegal. And then just normal rules of the road.
Can I say one thing? My neighborhood is bad. The kids are primarily kids, not wearing helmets. And we're reaching around, you know, a couple of times. I'm only here part-time, but it's out of control.
And that's another thing, it's the,
How much
It's dangerous.
kids are 6 years old without helmets.
and without a, if I'm not mistaken, unless they have a supervised adult riding with them, they still need to have a helmet on if they're under 16. 18, and then 16 and under, if they don't have a driver's license, they have a responsible adult riding with them. And so I want to keep this open, but I am not opposed to some ideas. If it goes to permits to ride them, so we get a city fee. If it goes to abolishing it and they have to trailer it to the trailheads. But I'm more worried about our walkers, pedestrians, young kids that are out playing with the negligence that I'm just seeing. And that's just me just driving around, and I'm gone, 2 weeks out of the month at least. So
And sound and lights, like just general.
just be a good
disturbance,
neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just one block. And there's, I'm she's house from Muldoon.
Mhm.
I'm right there. I see it, there's a highway.
Mm.
Our vehicle going up, some are doing great. Have helmets on, but it's, to be offensive, but these younger kids, they don't care, they're there. Helmet, he races up and down the streets, fast.
Yeah.
And, it's gonna be, last year wasn't it? 2 years ago, a bunch of kids got hurt, Sawhouse and all doing.
Well, every year somebody gets hurt out
Yeah,
there.
and, it's fun time to something else gets hurt, they gotta butterfly it.
No, and I encourage parents to take responsibility. I encourage good drivers, the ones that want to maintain it open, to enforce others to do the same. But I will present stuff if we have to go to higher enforcement. I think it's best for the community that we have safe, open streets. And I do want people recreating. I do want to see these vehicles able to be used. But I'm not gonna risk people's safety because a handful are being negligent and abusing the opportunities that we do have here. So other than that, I now open up for public comment or comment from, yes.
Can I comment on that? I live
Yeah.
on Second Street, South Second. And I am scared to death every day for my animals. If I happen to be in the front yard, because it's like a highway. They don't necessarily take Main Street or it's on Main, but they come down Second like it's Main Street and they're hauling butt down the street. Really, it's scary. It's scary how fast they're going.
And, if we do move forward with something, it's not only gonna be the drivers and the operators that will be. The ordinance that I will adopt will be the operators and the owner of the vehicle. So,
Parents,
I mean, if we don't enforce it, they're gonna continue to do it. There's been numerous times I'll be out in Slaughterhouse and I'm just like, slow down. I've been flipped off so many times, or almost ran off the road, so, yeah. And it's been from adults too,
Yeah.
yeah. It hasn't just been kids. I'm like, cool.
Tony,
Yeah, I'm just curious, there's an outfit that rents these side by sides, and I'm just wondering if we're aware if it's coming out of the company. I had family in town and they had a ball on this thing.
no, there's people that rent them there that do great. I think the marshal has a pretty good relationship with the owner down there, and he's usually pretty respectful for anything that we bring to him. For the most part, citizens are doing great, but it's a handful of select individuals. I know of 3 homes with their side by sides that are blatant abusers. But we are gonna fix this one way or the other.
Well, I can just chat with Kurt and find out about it.
Yes, sir.
I don't think that he's a problem. He rents stuff out to people that are responsible. It's local kids and families that are a problem.
It's not my intent to subjugate one business with this. We are happy to have a business as long as they are telling people how to do it. If we need to come up with a better trail for them to get to the canyons or a way they can get there, yeah, I'm willing to work with it, but I just want to make sure that our streets are safe. People are riding at least through town in a respectful manner. So, you know, we're not tearing up our roads, we're not upsetting our other residents, but people can still get access to our canyons. So,
So, in my neighborhood, they're not necessarily, we live right next to the canyon, they're not going to the canyon,
No.
they're racing around the blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks
Yeah.
as fast as they can. And, that, like Sean said, we have homeless, and they are children, not just young adults, there's a lot of, you know, I would say 12 years and under, that homeless and supervised.
Yeah.
So,
well, at least it's not me, the only one seeing it, so.
No, yeah.
We will
Thank you
address
for
it.
bringing it
Jump
up.
out in front of them
Yeah.
all the time. Or
As they go by.
yeah.
not really jump out in front of them, but
Yeah, go down to Melrose any day, anytime, any day.
Just wanted to loop back really quick on the comment you made about the weeds and the trailers and the vehicles, the ordinance.
Mhm.
It might be worth, you know, a reminder of that ordinance and the direction to which ordinance it is in the next water and sewer bill, just to gently keep reminding people of their kind of civic
Yeah,
duty.
it's a great
But I think directing people to specific ordinance numbers, it's, because it can be challenging to find that information. It would be helpful.
I have one more item not on the agenda. I got a phone call from Heather Johnson from Wood River Sand and Gravel, who they finally have closed on their business. And so she was wanting, to get an, address to send the billings to, and I, at that point said, hey, has anyone ever asked you for a discount for the city of Bellevue? And it turned out that they actually forgave our entire balance, of over $1,400. And, Casey has commented that it's probably more than that because of their bookkeeping skills. So I will draft a letter for your signature, but I wanted you to all be aware that they have made this donation.
That was nice.
And it
That's
was
very nice.
very nice of them to do.
Thank you.
It's great.
I have one item, Liz.
Congratulations.
Yes.
The landscaping of the cabin. It's not our burden. It's Arch's burden. It was part of their approval of their design review. And before the season gets away from us, I reached out to Michelle back in March or April, and she said she was gonna take care of it. They were gonna put something in, and it's never happened. And if that is the example that Arch wants to use for what they're gonna leave our affordable housing looking like, it will be very difficult for me to support another project brought forward by Arch.
To note on that too, they have done a beautiful job landscaping all their Haley properties. That are much not as far along as ours.
I'll reach out to them, tomorrow morning.
On affordable housing, the new Nexus study is available. If you haven't reviewed that, the new median home is $1 million in the valley. It's a very dense report, but I highly recommend looking at that. I sent the link to Christina.
And that's their average,
That's the median home in Lake
Median.
County.
but average price for a median home.
Home is 1 million,
Yeah. Well, we can all fit that.
but I can send that link out to everybody.
And speaking of, we don't have a weed ordinance. We do for the businesses and anything duplex or bigger through the fire code, but we don't have anything smaller than that.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll double check, but I thought I saw something the other day within, so like vacant lots, you're supposed to maintain, some
That's
sort of,
noxious weed.
yeah.
Situation.
But no, if not, we'll adopt something. I don't want to tell people how to landscape their properties, but to knock down just the weeds, to keep it a fire wise area, and then you know, I know that there's an ordinance that says, as far as vehicles, they have to be, registered. Or else a title in hand, one of the two. But, you know, we'll figure it out, but I just want people to take a little bit more pride in their yards for the sake of the whole community. I've gotten 3 or 4 complaints in the last 2 weeks alone about properties that are basically being used as storage yards.
Yeah.
And, we don't need that. And I know there are several homes that have multifamilies in them and they look like storage yards, but most of those at least come and go at least once a day. But it's the ones that are just there parked. You know, I have a Jeep that I've been working on. I have the title already and it's been sitting, but, you know, there's people working on them or it's just junk. And I'm talking about junk. And,
Yeah, there's a few in my neighborhood. I'm not gonna say where they're at, but one guy, he cut his weeds down, his yard weeds.
Mhm.
Cut it down into his yards. Has stuff left over from a fire 3 years ago, that's in the crap. And there is multiple neighbors that all they have is storage for crap. And you know, and they have a nice house next to the crap yard. They're good for you, resell there, you know?
and
The ERC and, we're talking about possibly doing another clean up event in the fall.
Nice.
There's another community member said she would like to have that, but the one thing that we did notice from one of our neighbors who is out with the Hispanic population and communicating with people, is like, people are working 3 jobs, they don't have time to remove things, but in that and going out with the trailer, we got, I don't know, 10 refrigerators, a couple of washer and dryers. There's one guy that got rid of 20 tires and he said, I work 6 days a week. I'm supporting 3 kids. You know, I think it's more about the time that people have to actually also help. So hopefully we can figure out something to maybe have a bigger impact to help those people who need get rid of them.
I have one more thing, not on the agenda. While I know a lot of the community is excited about Lake Avenita's new location, I did want to bring up the idea of we could maybe consider striping some parking in front of that business and trying to make the parking a little bit more organized. Because I think for some reason there's confusion on how to park on that street. And it always has been, but I see that there's a lot of cars there and just if we could consider, you know, we have some great lines that our streets department did out front here. And if that's something we consider striping in front of that business and just creating a little bit more organization, because that's such a, you know, thoroughfare to get to everybody
it's
else's.
become a choke point, and it seems every time I'm going down to the highway, I have people coming into my lane from off the highway.
Yeah.
Even though they have 20 feet off to the right-hand side, they just drive right down the left-hand side. Because that's what people do on that road.
Just
I mean,
organizational support to just make it as easy as possible for people to understand how to park on that road, I think
no,
would be beneficial for
we'll
everyone.
refer.
Some of the drivers are not qualified. Nice way to put it, and they're not, legal aliens, you know, they're there.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we could just support very easy communication of how to park on that road, I think would be beneficial.
No, I think we see lines on most of our businesses. I think you see them, there's over where the Oasis is, there's
Yeah.
lines there where Oak Street is, so. Lines there makes, I mean, Mahoney's on the north end, they have them, the Cutthroat Club, they have them on their north side, so there are
Yeah, on the
Plenty of
highway and then as you turn on to the other street.
cases.
An approximate bid, do all the striping throughout the business course, $15,000.
Okay. That could be a borough project potentially, or
We
business district thing.
will figure something out, but.
Yeah.
I agree, it's become, especially now with the increased amount of traffic and. What would you call it? Congestion, visitors,
Mhm.
yes, it does need to be addressed, so. We'll,
Places that need to be addressed, we need to address. The one on Elm is the one right next door to us, and the post office. That
Yes,
is
Yeah.
hands down worse than.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lockout.
Okay.
Right next door.
Everybody parks different there.
I also wonder if this might be out of scope, but making it one way, like if you go all the way up Elm, it's one way going straight up and then coming back down. Because even if you put striking there, I think you'll still have the same parking situation. It's just
Well,
a thought.
the problem is Elm is one of our primary arterials. And so to make that a one-way, which way do you make it? And then where does everybody come in through to go the other way? Do they push down to,
So why is that barrier on the other one, on the, what's the street over?
it's the Elm, oh, no,
Going south?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the school and it's due to
Oh.
the steepness of that hill,
Got it.
inability to properly maintain it. Huh? Cedar.
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 It's the winter time, it is dangerous.
Got it.
so slow.
And yeah, but it is. Got it.
Cedar's to the north of them, because I live between Cedar and them.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe the traffic study and all that, you know, with that.
Yeah, no, I would be a huge fan if we could make that hill accessible and use Cedar kind of straight down, but.
Well, part of the development for Slaughterhouse was, or for Strayhorn, excuse me, was. There was a traffic study conducted on Elm, and if we change the traffic pattern. There's gonna be a lot of people that are not very happy. Because of all the new traffic that's coming out of there, so,
I understand, that's where I live.
Yeah.
I know, just
And that's why I just
putting
think
that on the record.
keeping the corridors open, making sure the business parking is very identified, I think
Yeah.
it's. Yeah, important.
No, I mean, again, it's brand new open, it's been open over a month or so, I think there's just a lot of new interest. I think we get some stripes down, it will eventually go to a somewhat normal.
Before there's snow and
Yeah.
people can't tell where to park anyway.
It doesn't matter. Get into snow and people lose their minds.
Teach them before it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they just resurfaced, Valley Co-op and everybody just lost their minds when it came to parking today.
That's a dangerous lot to begin with.
Is there any other items of concern not on the agenda? I would like to move forward. All right, this time I'll close public comment. All right, consent agenda, items A and B, approval of minutes and approval of claims.
Can I make one comment on something I added to your claims?
Sure.
The little sheets on the side where that is, the first two payments, Rumbles Documents Solutions. The first two payments for our new, Bobcat. And we did not receive the first one, so we were past due. So I had Marcy go ahead and pay them. And then told her I would present to you that we paid these. And I hope that's okay.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I like being caught up on our friends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have a question about Great West Engineering. Have you found anyone yet for community development?
They are providing the services. We had one, we interviewed one person. We offered him a pretty good salary and package and, he thought he deserved more and I did not.
And I added up where we're at, just a general amount, looking through the last. Claims payable since January, we're already about 20, I'm estimating about 26,000 with Great West Engineering. So,
You also have to know that, we also get money from developers and other people that go to pay back, so it's not all coming out of general funds to pay for that.
Okay. If you ever have a question, you can always call me about that.
okay,
I look at those numbers all day long.
great, perfect.
Well, we're trying to stay within what would be the salary range budget on this, but we did add additional funds for specific contracting. But for the most part, we try to ensure that the contracts that we have with developers, anybody else covers the cost for their services.
Yeah, I was just looking at the annexation reviews and It's just making me a little bit nervous that we don't have anyone in there yet with these happening, and especially since we haven't come up with any plan of action for community housing. So the more charges I see on that, with not having somebody directing our community that has the experience in our community. So I see the need for that.
Hard to between finding, employees that have that experience to fulfill their duties. And it's tough out there. It's tough for that process of finding a cook. It's like, it's a cook. And it's almost impossible, you know? You can only imagine trying to find somebody that's qualified, that's educated. It's gotta be difficult these days, difficult. Plus $1 million medium, housing.
Which is why we need housing, yeah.
No, right. Sean's right, and the housing is the thing. We thought we had a great candidate. We thought we gave him a very fair offer. We knew what his previous salary was. We gave him quite a bit over that. He had opportunities for housing here in the valley or out of Fairfield. But his attitude when presented an offer, I didn't think he was a very good fit for us, so.
I do want to hop in though on that, because I understand what you're saying, I respect that, but I also think it's important that we publicize job offers within ranges that we can actually afford it. So that's super important, is to like communicate what we can afford, make sure that we're publicizing correctly, and then we're meeting, you know, that level of what we've publicized. So I think there's always ways to look at how things shake out, but I think it's important that we stay responsible for communicating what we can afford.
Any other questions on council minutes or claims?
I have none, Mayor.
You know,
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Member Shea?
Aye.
Member Mahoney?
yeah,
Member Redwell?
Yes.
Member Leahy?
Yes.
Member Cordero?
yes,
President Jordan?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, item 6, new business. We had some discussion and, I'm sure we're gonna have more discussion tonight. I honestly believe that the Bellevue Labor Day celebration is a city of Bellevue event. And to make sure that it's understood, I asked, Michelle and Rick, you know, what would it take to form a committee that legitimized it being a Bellevue event? And, to get a permanent committee, we need to do public comment and everything, but for this year, I'm proposing that we just do a temporary committee, identifies it, who have a board team to put it together. Come September or after Labor Day, we will put together the appropriate package to present a resolution that forms a permanent Bellevue Labor Day celebration committee. So the city is actively involved with it. It says that it's coming from the city and we're giving back to the city. Cities all around our state. Kimberly has their Good Neighbor Days. Shelley, Roberts, all our small communities around the state have one day that they give back. And since we are basically the workforce of the valley, Labor Day is perfect for us. And I think it's the one time that we should, you know, let our community get back together. Talked to Casey a little bit about it. And I guess back in the day, we did pit roasts and, you know, there were tokens given out and for $1, you could come get your barbecue, get your pit roast. Everybody sees each other, one chance to get together again. So at this point, I want to establish a temporary committee, finish off this year, and then I will bring a ordinance for a permanent committee that we can move on in future years. Make sure that it's fair, it meets everybody's interests, and we're not showing favoritism one side or the other, so.
I like the idea.
I read through kind of the section that outlines the duties of the committee. And the one thing that I just wasn't fully clear on, was just kind of how the monetary side of it was running. And if that was something that was gonna be established this year, or if it was something you were gonna establish with the ordinance coming into next year.
Very established.
For all of that, if I,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, that was just kind of my
I mean,
question of how it's all gonna kind of break down, just to understand, like. This breaks down kind of the committee duties, but how it's functioning within it being an event from the city.
so we,
just a second, Stephanie. So the next couple three are all revolving around the same thing, basically. So then there's
Yeah.
gonna be different points. So Stephanie Mahoney, would you please share your thoughts in answering the question, Christina's question?
sure, so. About 15 years ago, we had a Bellevue, Chamber of Commerce. And we kind of started that, and it was basically sponsored, and the Bellevue Chamber was sponsored by the city of Bellevue. And it was a city, and we created the Bellevue Chamber of Commerce basically to run the Bellevue Labor Day celebration. And at that point in time, we, it was sponsored by, like Wagon Days is sponsored and run by, basically, we did it on the model of Wagon Days, how that was run up there. And basically, I took it over because nobody else wanted to. So it was me and Ken Stocking and some people that he kind of dwindled down. And, but it was still always sponsored by the city of Bellevue. And we do have our own separate checking account. But it said our checking account at that point in time said the city of Bellevue and Bellevue Labor Day celebration. It was both on it. It was, and so the city of Bellevue had full transparency to our accounts and stuff. I did it for a long time, and then Heather Johnson took it over, and they did it, and somehow in that transition, it became. I was still under the impression that it was still always the city of Bellevue and that, but they got their own checking account and they did all of that. Then they didn't want to do it anymore, and then there wasn't going to be a Bellevue Labor Day celebration 3 years ago. So Sean and I were like, well, it's easy, I did it for 10 years, I'll take it back over. And so we did, and now we have our bank accounts at DL11. Right now it's me and Megan Davis and Pat Boach, and she's our accountant. And so she has our QuickBooks and does the whole thing, and so, and she's. I have to give her receipts for everything, and she's our budget and all of that, so. And I offered to share a budget and how much we raised in sponsorships. I mean, I think this year we raised sponsorship for about $17,000. So that's why we're allowed to do 2 days this year. And, I meet with Chris quite often to make sure, like for, Grand Marshal and all of that. So, but yeah, so I think it goes back under the city's umbrella, it's sponsored by, and it's not even. That the city would have to give any money for it or anything like that, really, it's just like waiving some of those fees that would be, that's the thing. Mahoney's doesn't make any money. I don't make any money off this, but this is fully, everything that is made and raised goes back into our bank account, so I'll take the next year. So. And if anybody wants from here, like if you do the committee, wants access to that bank account to the record, to meet with Pat, she was gonna be here tonight, but she has COVID. So she.
And, Stephanie has the experience of putting together the bands, identifying the vendors. This is why we moved forward with it. She volunteered to do it. So I just want to make this just clear that I believe that the city should take ownership of their celebration. We appreciate her volunteering and organizing it. And if we get a staff member or two that want to help participate, or council members that want to help participate in the future. But after this year, I want to establish a formal committee that will rotate it through. So Stephanie's not doing it every year. She's not locked into it, but we're so close to this one. This one's already planned. But I want to make sure that this continues and it does not go away. I think it's great for our community. I think it's great for our businesses. And, everybody has an opportunity to buy a space on it. So it's It's up to you guys, how you guys want to do it.
My thoughts, I mean, I love this event, everybody in our community loves this event, and I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Mayor, that establishing this as a committee. But I'm wondering, and I understand there's a separate bank account, but what doesn't pencil out to me is if there's a separate bank account, we're calling it a city event, the money doesn't go to the city, so we don't necessarily like. It's not part of the city, and also it's not a nonprofit, or is it a nonprofit?
What we've done in the past, and it kind of stopped from the Johnsons, but it was, we use the cities, like we're using the cities, the nonprofit, like, so power engineers have to type a check, they use that their W-9, and then the city wrote us back a check. So, cause it.
So we could run it through the nonprofit of the library, would that be an option?
I would have to check with the board on that.
I don't like it.
No.
I don't think
So
it's right.
we could establish its own entity. The problem it comes down to is the EIN numbers and the federal. Getting Sams and Duns and stuff like that. We already have one for the city. We can,
It's kind of a nonprofit, and I'm absolutely fine doing that, I just haven't had time, obviously this year, and then last year I was
Yeah.
working full time, kind of got. You know,
What is the bank account called?
there'll be Labor Day celebration. Deal Evans Bank. And we had in the past run all the money through, and I had my own budget, and it was run through the city, But they didn't particularly like doing it, depositing, $18,000 in checks, and then how do I get the checks to the bank, you know what I'm saying, it's all, it became. And then they have to work Sunday and Monday, somebody has to be here to write the checks Sunday and Mondays to the bands and the vendors and, all that kind of stuff, and you run around and get backstage, just those things, so.
But wasn't Maria collecting funds and applications this year? Like,
Normally they would drop it off at
Yeah.
counties, but I'm just having them drop it
Okay.
up there this year, yes.
I feel like there has been, like an administrative flow in the past, right? Like it would, yeah,
No,
but it's just changed a lot throughout the years.
Saying it hasn't been absolutely good, you guys have been great partners, what
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's more of a partnership, kind of,
Okay.
especially this year. And so, but, with the street permits and, or the street closing, which we just got approved on, so did we have a great,
until they
and,
resurface that weekend and shut down.
So
They better schedule through Stephanie first.
what I'm seeing here is there's an effort to kind of close the gap between a private event and a city supported event. But I'm also seeing that it's still messy. And it still doesn't. Like, I fully appreciate and respect what Stephanie's done in the history and all that, and I think. I get what you're trying to do, Mayor, and say this is a city sponsored event, but I still think it's not. Clean in terms of what a city sponsored event looks like. We do have models of City of Haley, City of Ketchum, when they have things like Wagon Days, and that is a city run and sponsored.
You know what Wicked is all about, it's a lot more in the city, our Wagon Days,
Mhm.
for example. None of them are, none of them are clean, put it that way. What I mean is.
I was on the Wagon Days
Yeah.
committee for years, I worked for the Central Convention Chamber for 14 years and did events, Wagon Days has its own committee, it is run through the city. She has to get a budget, but I'll tell you one thing, Heather Lamonica gets paid $50,000 to put it on.
What about the floats? Are there any, we're not charging entry fees for our floats?
We never have. They just show up, we barely have 20 now, if I start charging locals, they wouldn't, But, and they only charge, Wagon Days only charges $100, I think, for those wagons, and they also pay for a lot of it. So some of them they charge, but if you're a nonprofit, they don't charge. If you're, if you are a, and then if you're a nonprofit or a school or any of that, and then if people bring their wagon in, so let's say the government thing, Wagon Days pays for that, Wagon Days has to pay for the grand marshal stuff. And, the city puts out The city in their line item budget for wagon days, it's $50,000 to $60,000, if not even more, it's in their budget.
And then the Haley Fourth of July is what, 100 or 125 they charge each person that comes there. I'm just like thinking about money, the money component. Like, I agree with Christina on like, I think it needs to be ironed out a little bit more, like, I
Well,
love the direction.
Can we get through this Labor Day and then
Is it 3 weeks
could I have a
away?
year to?
Oh, yeah, but I mean,
And if y'all want.
it's brought to the table to discuss. I
There you
mean,
go, I'll
yeah.
send numbers to the bank account.
Christine, we're just a couple weeks away.
I think if it's gonna be a city-sponsored event, then the money from the account needs to be set up as a line item for that specific event in the city budget.
And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I-
Then there's total transparency, and, I think that is, yeah, the way
again,
probably.
I'm asking for this year, an exception to go with the committee that's already been established. We will revisit this and we can develop a bank account, a line item, appoint a chair. So we can have the next 12 months to plan it. Right now, I don't have 12 months to plan it.
Not at all.
It's already been planned.
but your resolution doesn't say that. It doesn't say for this year. It doesn't say for 2024. So
It
the
should.
discussion is, around a committee that doesn't have a start and end time on it. So I don't think any of us are trying to make this difficult, but the information wasn't presented that it was just for this year. So I think there's clarity now in this discussion, and it sounds like, we have some ideas moving forward. I would love to see one staff member on the committee, plus 3 community members moving forward. For this year, I think we're talking about something totally different, but this resolution wasn't presented as just for this year. So I think that's where the discussion feels broader than just this year, and I don't,
That was communication between me and Michelle to form a permanent committee. It needs to go one way. This way was just to form a temporary committee. And so we can put amendment in there that says establishing the 2024 Bellevue Labor Days.
Yeah, because it says here just in the title, and an effective date.
it's just missing a little bit
Yeah.
of information to identify this. Can I just throw out there, if we're a few weeks away? Are we establishing this committee just to have established it for this year? But if it's already planned and the ball's already rolling, do we need, and the committee already exists?
And when I looked at the legislator, it said that you have to have 2 members as on leading the committee, but that was for a nonprofit when I was looking. When I was going through today, so
I guess-
so that's why I felt like this. Yeah, I needed to be. Baked out a little bit into figuring out
Let's
what.
be for next year instead. What's our ultimate goal here?
Yeah, so what's,
My
yeah,
goal
that's
is to
what's
waive
the
the
goal.
$680 for the park.
That's
Got it.
the honest.
Okay.
Yeah. thank you.
I think the committee is rushed.
We'll skip ahead.
I think it's super important, but I think it needs to be fleshed out. If we're already a few weeks away, and Stephanie's done a
The
great job doing it.
conversation last week or last month was the fact that Bellevue City did not take any ownership of this. And so the only way that I see us as the city taking ownership is to establish a committee and putting in things. And I did not have enough time to put all the rules into place for this year. So for this year, I'm asking again, now that we understand that the money goes to the committee, that it does not go to Mahoney's. It's a city celebration.
I never thought the money went to Mahoney's.
Well, I just thought it was a private event.
It is a private event. It's technically a private event because it's not a city-run and sponsored event. Let me just finish my sentence real quick. So we also have this like community member-based events committee that's been doing work in the parks and throwing events. And they're not a city sponsored and we're charging them fees. And so I think it's really hard to pick and choose what private event gets their fees waived when we're trying to, the city needs to continue to stay consistent with how we're charging fees and how we're making money. And park fees are one of the ways in which we can continue to build that line item for us. And so while it's only $600, we have charged this events group that is doing good within the city of Bellevue park fees, and we have not waived their park fees. So it's just right now, it's not city run.
Wait to share, that's absolutely fine, then after this year, I probably resign, and you guys can figure it out, no, because to be honest with you, this is a lot of work. My husband just had a stroke, and I'm just trying to do something good, and, but, you know, and I've been doing this 15 years, why don't you expect me more?
Well, and I really apologize that you're personally offended, and that was never the intention, but when we're looking at budgets and we're looking at money and we're looking at all these things, like, they're hard discussions to have. They really are, and it's not, and it was never personal, it was never meant
Great.
that the Mahonies were monetized, like made profiting, it was never personal.
About that.
Well, I was talking to Stephanie directly, yeah.
No,
It's
Yeah.
okay, we're getting off topic now, and I'll just go ahead.
Somehow it's
I
not
think
really
we're in the middle of
personal, you
something.
guys, no, we need to have the
It's
discussion.
been how long has this event gone on for? How many years? 20, 30, 40 years?
40 years.
40 years.
At least,
See?
at least.
80 years, yeah, 80 years.
And no one's saying it's not valuable, but
Yeah.
we're also sitting here having big budget discussions about, you know, Bellevue not being able to fund our services and these are the tough conversations we have to have. And I'm sorry if it feels personal, but in no way is this personal. In no way did anybody on this council say, we don't love and support this event and appreciate everything you do. We're just looking at the brass tacks of our park fees.
So what is,
Yeah.
and I agree,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna just take that off the agenda, but next year, when you guys start your committee, you're gonna have to really think about. Because like I said, the city of Haley pays the chamber to organize the 4th of July. The city of Ketchum pays somebody to organize the thing, so. When you have your new committee, you're gonna have to probably pay somebody to do it. Because I put 30 to 40 hours a week into this, and I even did it when I was there. That's what a debt planner does.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have enough time to do that and to go out and get all of the sponsors and that, you know, the $15,000 that I raised so that I can do this and get high quality bands. That's something when you start next year, I'll pay the 600 maybe.
No, and I did ask, that's not, we're talking about the committee right now, so I think
Yeah.
we're in the committee part of this discussion. I did have a question at the last meeting, is the 600 gonna make or break this situation for us? And I think that at no point, I think these are just awkward and hard discussions to have about how the city's moving forward and how we're charging fees. And if everyone on the council had, you know, and the mayor and you had truly felt that this is a city-sponsored event and how we want to move forward, I think that is the next line item, and we can have that discussion about repealing, you know, the non-discounted thing. So I think this committee is an important discussion to segue into the next discussion, but it sounds like the end goal here is to get this to be more of a city of Bellevue collaboration in supporting you and appreciating what you've done and getting staff, you know, power behind it so that we can maybe reduce those 30, 40 plus hours that you're putting in. You know, I work in this industry. I'm not disillusioned to think that you aren't doing so much to get us here. We just were having a discussion about the division of what is city sponsored and what isn't, and how we're going to move forward with fees. And so I'm so happy that you're here and clarifying a lot of these things. And I welcome other people of the council to hop in on this discussion, but please don't take it personally. We're making tough decisions moving forward. And I think this is important. And it sounds like the committee and the Labor Day coming kind of back and supported from the city is a path forward that it sounds like a lot of people are interested in. So I appreciate you coming in.
Well, Stephanie, I know for a fact has participated, not just staff, Sean has too, for years in putting this together, and with 2 weeks left, 3 weeks maybe, to make it happen. I think we should recognize we have a community member that has put in lots of hours of her time to make this event happen, and we should be grateful that we've got somebody that's willing to take it up, because there's a lot of people I know over the years that have been asked to participate, to put it together, to chair it, to whatever, and they're like, nope, not gonna do it. And so You know, I think we're very, very happy to have Steph put this together and let's get through the next 3 weeks. And we'll have a more succinct discussion on the points that need to be made after this event happens and, you know, Steph recaps it. You know, we worked with Shelley, or they worked with Shelley to try and make sure that we've got all the numbers together for this year, but I think this is, you know, this is a one-time fix for, you know, trying to get us
Through the end of the month.
to the event and beyond that.
Yeah.
And then we have a more formal discussion that is better planned out than kind of feeling like there's a full court press.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Agree.
I think just a little modification.
What's the committee gonna do between now and Labor Day? But that's already been done.
Yeah, you still need to do the morning of organization. There's still
Yeah.
cleanup. There's,
But I'm gonna have it for today, but it's kind of with me to come to.
I mean,
Yes.
the overall event has been planned. We know who the vendors are. We know who the participants, the band members, stuff, but the day of setting up the parade, getting everything organized, cleanup, things like that. We still need to have.
Volunteers, yeah.
On Saturday, this Sunday, you know, the banners at the party, we'll gather all those. I can't do it by myself, it used to be Sean and I. You can't do it, obviously, and, yeah, and it's the road closures, but they're all on the road closures, all of that. And I, Gary Peak again, who's helped out for 30 years, he's gonna be helping me with the parade thing, I need a few.
Yeah, if you just make the list, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Send it, I asked Sean. I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
Yeah, Shawnee.
Yeah.
On an email and like, just so we can broadcast it and figure out.
Yeah, and
all
I'm
of us
gonna
how to
do the
report
thing.
you.
Press release and I'll put it on, you know, whatever, I'll be maybe day.
So,
Celebration page, Facebook page, if you don't like it. But basically the bus push it down, she'll be here, staying and working on the ads and our grand marshal this year is, John Beatty and family, so
Nice.
so,
Nice.
yeah, but you know, I mean, I've been just going through press, that's what I made sure I was like, this is that, okay, you know, being that the mayor. Stuff, so, but yes, I'll get that to you tomorrow, the whole thing, so.
But just the sooner, then I can just start reaching out to everybody and. see.
Yeah,
I
oh,
know-
we need people to help them with garbage today, you
Yeah.
know, and then, I know city staff. Has said they would, the marshal's office said they would, because we're doing 2 days, so, you know, let the vendors keep their stuff at the park this year. So they'll have to break it down, you know, Sunday and then we put it at Monday and then we said that to be some little patrols over there and stuff and. So I mean, it's, we're at that time, but it's, you know, yeah.
Security at the park for that Sunday is not part of the marshal's office. We will do extra patrols, but I don't have staff to put there.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, I'm just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wanting
Clarify.
to know that I'm not,
oh, yeah,
we're not gonna have somebody there.
No, we know that, yeah. Yeah, like we talked about, just. Go by there every once in a while, make sure there's not kids later.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
I just wanted to make sure.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. No,
Okay, so we'll remove, A and B, and C off the agenda. Moving on to item D.
No, I feel, it feels like we're jumping around. I would like to put something on the table to discuss with, I think, what if we did this resolution effective today until the end of December 31st of 2024, knowing that we can revisit it. And with that, move on to a discussion about reconsidering the 600. Does that feel good?
Well, it's.
I mean, it's here,
It's on the agenda in 3 different items,
Yeah.
and I think we need
because I would love to
tidy
appoint
up.
Stephanie as
Yeah.
the chair. I mean, I'd love to keep going through this.
I'm ready to make a motion.
We're here to have this discussion.
Take a motion.
Okay, for resolution number
The next available one is 23, but
2385. I move to approve resolution 2385. A resolution of the city of Bellevue, Blaine County, Idaho, establishing the Bellevue Labor Day Celebration Committee for the year 2024. The purpose of such committee, the terms of the committee members, and an effective date.
Second.
Great.
Councilmember Farrell,
Yes.
Member Shea,
Yes.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
Member Mahoney,
Yep.
President Jordan,
Yes,
Member Obama.
Yes.
Item B, appeal the city council, decision to deny the fee waiver request from Memorial Park in the amount of $680 for September 1 and September 2. For the Bellevue Labor Day celebration on July or. Is that the last council date, July 22nd? I would say yes.
In August, yes, starts off at 22nd.
No, the last line of that, for the Bellevue Labor Day celebration on July 27, 2024. Is that referring to the date that the denial was approved or?
Yes, the date of the denial. I'm sorry, I wasn't with you.
Yep.
Is there any discussion?
oh, I was just gonna say, like, it sounds like we're moving in a direction in good faith, that this is going to be a City of Bellevue Labor Day collaboration event with a committee, with staff involvement, you know, basically historical knowledge involvement to keep this event propelling forward. So it sounds like it's moving in the direction from what I was considering from brass tacks paper terms, a private event into a city sponsored event,
Cleaning it up.
cleaning it up. Yeah, move, you know, I think that's a theme that we're working on this year. We're talking about water stuff that's going from kind of handshake, not as kind of written out into, you know, clear, formal, clear understanding. So I think I appreciate this being brought to the table for a deeper discussion from our last meeting. So.
So does this mean next year? Park fee won't even come up at all?
I think that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it's a city event.
Yeah, it sounds like the park fee is just, it's a city event doing an event at a city park.
For the city.
Okay.
We're ready for a motion?
Yeah.
I
Worth it
move
all then, right?
to approve
Yeah,
the
that's
appeal
separate.
submitted by Stephanie Mahoney and waive the fees for Memorial Park in the amount of $680 for the Bellevue Labor Day celebration.
Second. That was Jessica.
Member Obama.
Yeah.
Member Leahy,
Yes.
Member Shea,
Yes.
Member President Jordan.
Yes.
Member Farrell.
Yes.
Farrell, excuse me. I guess somebody.
Me.
Sorry. We're at the very top, I'm on top, right? I'm on the top of the line.
And by the way, I didn't die 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing in the world. No,
What?
We, there's a rumor.
3 different phone calls.
There was a Sean Maloney. a guy
No,
in
Sean.
Fallon, A couple months ago. And.
What?
I got 3 phone calls and text messages from random
You know,
people.
but he said, you know, he's 80 years old.
Yeah, I was like, no,
Not
No
quite
way.
that old yet.
Said I'm still alive.
no, yes.
Not 80.
All
All
right.
right, item C, consideration of resolution 2386. The resolution, Mayor, Common Council of the City of Bellevue, Idaho, confirming the appointment of Stephanie Mahoney to the Bellevue Labor Day Celebration Committee and appointment as chair
For the year
for the year
2024.
2024.
And I'll take that term as from here to December 31st. Yeah.
Yeah,
Any discussion or ready for a motion?
You go.
we're good.
I
You're
move
on
to,
fire.
I move to approve resolution number 2386, a resolution of the mayor and the common council of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, confirming the appointment of Stephanie Mahoney to the Bellevue Labor Day Celebration Committee and appointed as chair for the year 2024.
Second.
I think you also need to, the commissioner's term is for 3 years, but definitely.
We'll clean that up on the backside,
Okay.
because this is just for, we stated just 2024.
Member Farrell,
Yes.
Member Obama.
Yeah.
President Giordani.
Yes.
Member Schiff.
Yes.
Member Lane.
Yes.
Member Mahoney.
She's.
Yes.
Thank
All right.
you, Mahoney's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. So, final item tonight, resolution number 2387, resolution, City of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to execute local professional service agreement number 96996 with Forest Green Associates Incorporated and Idaho Transportation Department for local fiscal year 21 transportation plan for the city of Bellevue, Idaho Transportation Department project number A022 026, key number 22026, in the amount not to exceed $83,309. So this is the transportation study that we've been talking about, that we got grant approval and that we're actually paying, what, 8,000 out of pocket for of the 83?
No, it's 7.34% of 83,
Okay.
so it's like six.
11488.
This is the final agreement. The first round that we had was the agreement between Bellevue and Idaho Transportation Department to pursue the grant for this. Now we've come to terms with Fortran, the engineers, to actually do the plan. So this pulls them into, this is the contract that includes all three parties.
When I was looking through it, it looked like it just had one public meeting in here? Does that, is it community feedback? Like, so they're working with Idaho Department of Transportation, ITD, and then. So the feedback, like when they're looking at this overall and they're doing this, how much is the community involved in it? Or they just do the study and they present, you know.
They're gonna go through, do an assessment of what they see, this, that, and the other. So they'll look at our street signs, look at our line markings, look at our our ADA compliance.
Did they do traffic count? I didn't see that in here.
They're going to, because they're gonna identify our primary arterials.
Collectors and arterials.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they're gonna bring us something, they're gonna present it, if we have questions or if we wanna see specific things. They're an engineering firm, we can get them to come down, have discussion with us, tell us where they're at any point. So we can have as many public meetings as we want before we fully adopt this.
We've also had the guidance of a gentleman from ITD who, this is what he does. And he helps with the negotiations with the engineering firm and helped guide us through this whole process. So
Okay.
we have followed the procedures.
Great.
Do you know when this starts for us? What's the month's date?
Do they have an actual start date?
As soon as this is
Approved?
approved, completion won't be till the end of 2025.
It says zoning, determine the existing zoning requirements in zoned areas within the urban boundary. Are we going to be updating our zoning before they start?
They're gonna give us feedback on, like, so with, the Kirtley project with Carl Malone and everything, as we see new inlets and a new potential light, when we see, Gannett Road, they're gonna provide guidance on how those are gonna affect our current zoning. Now, if we need to go in and adjust their zoning, that will be coming up in this next year when we start looking at our comp plan and re-updating our comp plan. So they aren't, their guidance may be to adjust zoning, but they are not influencing zoning changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Questions?
Have you had a chance, my only question might be a little off that, but have you had a chance to think about how that comp plan committee might be put together or what that looks like. Or if you want to have a further discussion about that, you know my number.
The budget was the first thing we wanted to get done. We want to look at fees, and once we get done with fees over the next 2 months, then we'll go move on with the comp. Plan. Trying to keep this small chunks, a little bit at a time, and that comp plan is going to be a 1.5 to 2 year project. We know, so fully aware. I remember the last one.
I do too.
Me too.
I had one comment on the contract. There is a weird provision in Idaho law that we're not allowed to contract with something owned or operated by People's Republic of China.
Mhm.
So you have a certification from these guys saying such.
No, and they've done that. We did the vetting process when we did the initial engineering review, but no, Great West and America both had to put that up disclosures on their last contracts, and we can get them to put that on theirs.
It's good to me.
Is there a motion?
This will be 23.
2387.
I would move to approve resolution number 2387, a resolution of the city of Bellevue, Idaho, authorizing the mayor to execute a local professional services agreement number 96996 with Forsgren Associates, Inc. and the Idaho Transportation Department for the local fiscal year 21
It was the,
The monies were available.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Just want clarification there. Transportation plan for the city of Bellevue, Idaho, Transportation Department project number A022 in parens 026. Key number 22026 in an amount not to exceed $83,000, $83,309.
Again, second.
Member Ovino?
Yes.
Member Mahoney?
Yes.
Member Donnie?
Yes.
Member Leahy?
Yes.
Member Cole?
Yes.
Member Chase?
Yeah.
all right, thank you, everyone. Hey, Sean, it's been a while since you made that motion. Would you like to make one tonight?
Is it done?
Yeah. Motion to adjourn, John? Sean? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
He's there.
He's still